Hello and a very good evening to you. This is Primetime News coming to you live on MTV Sports and Shakti TV from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Shaheen Durrangpati.
And I'm Amina Mustafa. Here's a look at your headlines.
Yet another token strike by a group of health sector employees. Dr. Subramaniam Swamy requests Sri Lanka to grant permits for Indian fishermen to fish in Sri Lankan waters for 3 years. Criminal investigation reveals that 3 question papers of school and term examinations were leaked in Piliyandula.
Well, in top story tonight, several trade unions attached to the health sector commenced a strike action today. This strike action resulted in the activities of state hospitals being hampered. The trade unions commenced this strike action citing 5 demands, including the granting of salary arrears in accordance with Circular 6 of 2006, the implementation of the 5-day work week and limiting night shifts to 2 days. The strike action commenced at 6:30 this morning and will continue for 48 hours. 21 trade unions representing 27 grades of health workers attached to the Joint Trade Union Committee are taking part in this strike action. Ward clerks, food inspectors, housekeepers, orderlies, elevator operators, transport operators, attendants, cooks and other minor staff are taking part in the strike action. Operations at the National Hospital in Colombo were disrupted due to the strike action. The assistance of personnel attached to the Civil Defence Force was also sought to maintain an undisrupted flow in the activities at the National Hospital.
Despite the disruptions, we have managed to put them aside and carry out our services towards patients as usual.
Activities at the Colombo South Teaching Hospital too were disrupted by the strike action. However, minor staff who do not support the strike action were seen taking part in hospital activities.
We have deployed personnel from the Civil Defence Force. Patients are being admitted. There are lapses at the clinic, but the surgeries are taking place.
Activities at the Karapitia Hospital in Gaul were also disrupted. The assistance of the Sri Lanka Navy has also been sought to maintain operations at the OPD.
All emergency surgeries are taking place as usual. Planned surgeries have been postponed. Operations at all the base hospitals are taking place in a successful manner. The Civil Defence Force and the security personnel are assisting us.
Activities at the Hingaraguda District Hospital too were hampered as a result of the strike action. Duties of the minor staff were performed with the intervention of the Civil Defence Force personnel. The Civil Defence Force also assisted in maintaining operations at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital as a result of the 48-hour strike action launched by health workers.
We hope to seek the assistance of the Civil Defence Force as well as the Sri Lanka Army. We will continue with the operations at the hospital.
The Joint Trade Committee meanwhile staged a demonstration opposite the National Hospital today.
Health workers who reached the location where the Joint Trade Union Committee is staging a fast urging that demands be met later commenced a protest march. However, their march was restricted to the Lipton Circus. They were informed that they will be given an opportunity to discuss their issue with the President through the intervention of the Minister of Health. Senior members of the Joint Trade Union Committee informed their fellow colleagues of this announcement. However, some members opposed this move. Though there was opposition by several members, the Joint Trade Union Committee decided to stop their protest march.
Now, the Ministry of Health announced that a discussion is underway with the President on the issue. Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Health, KAS Kiragala, said that the Minister of Health, the Secretary and several other health officials are taking part in the discussion. Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the Joint Trade Union Committee, Samantha Korlarchi, said that the strike action will continue. Minor staff at several hospitals on strike, citing several demands. Doctors in the Polonnaruwa district stage a token strike. Government radiology staged a week-long work to rule campaign citing 7 demands, including allowance increments. Midwives staged a sick note campaign against nurses being given labour room training. Mothers inconvenienced by nurses strike at the Castle Street Hospital. Medical officers of health in Newra Elia on strike in protest against interferences by a minister. One-day strike launched in 6 provinces by health sector employees in professions supplementary to medicine, citing 6 demands. For your attention.
Nuwan Udaya Gunathilaka alias Kudunuwan was arrested by the police in Me Totimulla, Polonnaruwa this morning for possession of narcotics. The police media spokesman SSP Ajit Rohana noted that the suspect, who was arrested by the Colombo Crimes Division, is in detention and is being interrogated.
The police say that they found 301.29 grams of heroin on Nuwan Udaya Gunathilaka, alias Kudunuwan's person, when he was arrested. SSP Ajit Rohana noted that investigations into the matter are ongoing.
The suspect is being detained and interrogated. We are hoping to obtain detention orders for 7 days. It is reported that there are a number of criminal cases that are being heard with regard to this individual. It has also been revealed that he was in possession of narcotics and is involved in the drug smuggling trade.
The chairman of the Polonnaruwa Urban Council too was recently arrested and placed in remand custody. He is accused of assaulting the deputy chairman of the Urban Council. The Public Relations and Public Affairs Ministerial portfolio held by Minister Mervyn Silva has been expanded.
The ministerial portfolio has been expanded through the powers vested in the President. A Gazette notification in this regard was issued on Thursday. Through the Gazette, Minister Mervyn Silva has been placed in charge of formulating programs to uplift the livelihoods of low-income families and residents living in houses with minimum facilities.
Speaking at a media briefing convened today, the leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Sali, expressed the following views.
Pradesh Sabhas have been plagued with problems. Chairmen are assaulting deputy chairmen and are being placed in remand custody. When he has some trouble with the government, he has to either go, or at times the government hides him away and does not produce him in court, or they will dictate terms.
UNP parliamentarian Sujiva Senasinghe raised questions in Parliament today regarding whether there exists in the country a machine that uses lasers to identify buried treasure. Minister WDJ Sinivaratna responded.
Investigations have been conducted into the use of non-laser technology in examining the Earth's interior, and submissions have been made to court. While non-laser technology can be used to examine the Earth's interior, 8 of these machines have been seized.
Although
you say no, it is mentioned in several newspapers that these machines were imported and that they have been used. At the same time, I have been informed of an instance where such a machine was found by the Bingiriya police and how they did not take action. I have the names and information of the police officers as well.
Defence Seminar 2014, themed Sri Lanka Challenges to a Rising Nation, concluded in Colombo today. The sessions today mainly focus on Sri Lanka's geopolitical location and the Indo-Sri Lanka relations.
Defence Seminar 2014 is the 4th in a series of annual forums organized to discuss Sri Lanka's post-conflict recovery and diverse challenges facing the nation. Defence Seminar 2014 saw the participation of a broad range of representatives from foreign militaries, eminent scholars, intellectuals and think tanks. Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, on whose conceptual notion the conference was initiated, was also present at the seminar.
China will definitely pay more attention to
this Indian Ocean region. However, I think China's military presence in the ocean is almost zero, besides the anti-piracy activity near Somalia. China does need to work together with the Indian Ocean countries and the relevant stakeholders to ensure the peace and stability in the most busy water area in the world. So at the bilateral level, I think there are also a lot of dynamics to promote the comprehensive and in-depth development of China-Sri Lanka relationship.
Chairman of the Strategic Action Committee of the India's Bharatiya Janata Party, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, speaking at the Defence Seminar 2014 in Colombo today, said that Sri Lanka should grant Indian fishermen permits to fish in Sri Lankan waters until fish in Indian waters can be repopulated.
Now the question is, the poor fishermen are not able to catch good fish. Due to reckless fishing in the Indian side of the medial line of Gulf of Mannar, all our quality fish and shrimps have been exhausted. They have been already fished out. Now, the good fish, the export value fish, this shrimp, they are all on the Sri Lankan side. So, therefore, our fishermen are now have been coming compelled by their boat owners to go across to Sri Lanka and then fish there. Otherwise, they will not be able to export, and they will not be able to collect enough to cover the cost of fuel for those boats. So we have to sit down with Sri Lanka and say, give us 3 years to repopulate our side of the ocean, and in between, you give us some permit to fish in your side. There is not a single Indian fisherman in the jails of Sri Lanka, and if they are there, they are on the way out to go out and bail and return back to India.
Now, speaking further, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy expressed the following views on Tamil Nadu's influence in Indian policy.
Sri Lanka is strategically located, and to have a situation where we become hostile to Sri Lanka or create an atmosphere where powers inimical to us decide to assist in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is supposed to accept their support, that is something against our national interests. Much of our recent troubles has arisen because of the political polemics from the south, and this, since the party in power in the state of Tamil Nadu also became a part of the coalition, it led to a situation where we could not be of assistance to Sri Lanka in a fight which they were fighting, which was equal to the fight that India would have to fight, namely fighting the terrorists called the LTTE.
However, in an exclusive interview with Newsfirst yesterday, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy stated that if another resolution on Sri Lanka is brought before the UN Human Rights Council, India would fully support Sri Lanka.
எதிர்காலத்தில் இது மாதிரி vote வந்ததுன்னா நாங்கள் எதிராக vote போடுவோம். நாங்கள் ஸ்ரீலங்காவோட சேர்ந்து vote போடுவோம்.
If there is another vote in the future, we will vote against it. We will vote with Sri Lanka. Our policies are very clear. The United Nations has no power to intervene in a country which democratically elects its own rulers.
தேர்ந்தப்பட்ட ஆட்சி இருக்கோ, இந்த நாட்டில் ஒரு சட்டம் இருக்கோ, இந்த நாட்டில் தேர்தலில் ஆட்சி மாற முடியுமோ, அந்த நாட்டில் வெளிநாட்டிலேருந்து யுனைடெட் நேஷன்ஸ்.
Professor Rohan Gunaratne, the head of Singapore-based International Centre for Political Violence and Terrorism Research, says that persons who were previously involved in terrorist groups must not be allowed to enter politics, even if they are rehabilitated. Professor Gunaratne made this statement in a lecture to the Parliament Correspondents Association at the Parliament complex today.
Today, the terrorist ideology is being spread by a few political leaders. The ideology is what leads to terrorism in the future. If you create ethnic and religious prejudice among people, we will have suspicion, prejudice that will lead to violence.
You say that Sri Lanka's rehabilitation program is a model for the world and that 12,000 persons have been rehabilitated. Is your stance that even they should not be allowed to enter politics?
ත්‍රස්තවාදී සංවිධානයක අදාළ හිටපු අයව කවදාවත් පෙඩෙස්ටල්
We must never put those who are involved in terrorist groups on a pedestal. We must consider them as our brothers and sisters and enable them to work and live. But it would be wrong for us to give them an opportunity to engage in politics.
කරන්න අවස්ථාව දෙන එක වැරදි.
Are you saying that persons who are involved in terrorism but then enter the democratic process should not be allowed to do so?
මම කියන්නේ ත්‍රස්තවාදී සංවිධානයක
I am saying that it is harmful when persons who are in terrorist groups or persons involved with those families enter politics because they could instill their ideology in the people once again.
මතය ආයෙත් ඒ අය ජනතාවට දෙන්න පුළුවන් නේ.
Speaking at the daily press briefing in New York today, Stefan Dujarric, spokesman for UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, said the Secretary General has reiterated the importance of Sri Lanka in engaging constructively with the UN system in terms of the international inquiry.
On Sri Lanka, the President, Mahinda Rajapaksa, has met with the foreign press there today and has said he will not grant visas to the panel of inquiry into the war crimes of 2009. I wanted to know, given the Secretary General's visit there in 2009 and statement since, what is his response to this public statement by the President?
Okay. I think, as you know, and as we've stated here, the Secretary General fully supports the High Commissioner for Human Rights and commends the leadership she's demonstrated to assist Sri Lanka in advancing accountability and reconciliation. The Secretary General encourages Sri Lanka to cooperate with the inquiry led by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights that was established by the Human Rights Council. He reiterates the importance for the government and the people of Sri Lanka to constructively engage with the entire UN system, as it would help the country make constant progress, development, lasting peace, and protection of human rights.
Raising a question in Parliament today, Parliamentarian Sajith Premadasa inquired about the programme to provide school children with a glass of milk.
You reaffirmed that the country is self-sufficient in milk. If that is the case, then why aren't steps being taken to provide a glass of milk to school children?
Honourable Speaker, there is a problem with transporting the milk to school. Large distances need to be covered. Until we are able to create a proper solution to this, we will not be able to implement this program.